Welcome back to another episode of the Plate Up Podcast. This is episode 16. Once again, we are back. It is D High, the Coov, and JD Hugh. What is going on, fellas?
How's it
What is
going?
going on?
Nothing much, man. Let's go ahead and kick it on into the weekly catch up. I'll go ahead and jump it off first. Man, this week has been very fun for me. The pod topic this week, we are going to be talking about E3 this week, and so this is one of my favorite weeks every year. When E3 comes around, it's like Christmas for us gamers. We all know that, man. Like, I really look forward to this. When I used to be in the Navy, the only time I would ever take leave was the week of E3. I would always put in like a week of leave and literally sit there and watch like G4, Spike TV, everywhere that there was coverage. I was watching, and I have two TVs set up. One where I'm playing Modern Warfare all day. The other one is E3 coverage all day. And dude, that was my event. So that's what I pretty much did this week, just hanging out and whatnot. And man, I've just been chilling. This week has been very laid back for me, man. So I've been really enjoying it. So, JD, how about yourself, man? What you been up to?
Yeah, I'm about the same. I haven't caught as much of the E3 as I wanted to this week. Just everything going on, work, and possibly changing jobs here. Got a final interview tomorrow, so going to wrap that up and see where that goes. And other than that, just been playing Warzone with the Coov and just getting after it. I have not played really any other game other than Warzone. In fact, I haven't even been in Warzone for the first half of this week, and then got into it right there towards the end. And then I had scuba yesterday, and so it was a good fun weekend. Just not as much gaming as I would have liked. What do you got for us, man?
Kind of the same as you, man. It was just Warzone all week. Season 4 dropped, so I've been really hitting Season 4 pretty hard. Testing out the new meta, the MG82 LMG, which is broken. As much as I love that gun, it's broken. So expect that to get nerfed here really soon. Work has just kind of been the same. I actually went into the office last Wednesday for a 3.5 hour long meeting. But it was kind of nice to kind of see people again. And yesterday, wife and I just did a lot of chores. You know, we decided 100-degree plus weather is perfect time for yard work. So we went out and we weeded the yard. I finally finished up the flower beds, the raised garden beds I built, and put them in the backyard. I mowed. We were like just dripping sweat. I mean, it was not a good day to do that, but needed to be done. And then after we're done here, we got to do all the inside. So now we got to clean the house. But that's really it for my week.
Well, that is it on the weekly catch up, and that is going to kick us on over to the news. Actually, before we jump to the news corner, last week we talked about our favorite dads. Now today is Father's Day, and last week we talked about our favorite TV and movie dads of all time, and we asked everyone, who is your favorite in TV movie dads? We got a couple answers back. So Jill over on Instagram said her favorite TV dad was Phil Dunphy. That is a excellent choice, man. We all love us some Phil Dunphy. Frozen over on Discord said his favorite dad was Jimmy Neutron's dad. A very underrated cartoon movie, if
Very
you've ever
true.
seen it. And then we got Billy Wang over on Twitch said Tony Maselli from Who's the Boss was his favorite dad. So another solid choice. But that was it for the question from last week, and that is going to kick us on in to the topic of this week. Ladies and gentlemen, it's all about wrapping up E3 2021. This was a very big event. You know, minus PlayStation not being there, it was still a very big event. Lasted for about 4 or 5 days. And it was just solid reveal after reveal after reveal. So that is what we're going to be talking this week. So we're going to kick it on over to the Coov. What were you excited about, man?
I was excited for Sony, but they didn't show up. I was kind of excited to see what exclusives were they going to release, because every year they put on a good show. I remember when the PS4 versus the Xbox One came out, the console wars. Xbox released theirs, and that was just a major flop of a show, and Sony just went after them, which was awesome. So I was kind of excited to see what they were going to do with the PS5 versus the Xbox One X. But, yep, they didn't show up, but that's all right. Overall, I was just excited for the new game releases. I wanted to see what's coming out. I've been in such a war zone hole for this last year. I need something new. So some good games were announced. I know we're going to jump into, but that was my overall impression. I was excited for the games, and I was not disappointed, I will say. JD, what were you excited about?
Hey, I got a little tickle somewhere. I can't tell you where violating TOS, but I got a little tickle for Rainbow Six Extraction. Boys, I don't know why. It hit me. I watched the gameplay. It's like kind of mixed in with zombie. It's not your typical Rainbow Six. That might kind of throw off some of the Rainbow Six fans. I liked it. It kind of gave me like, it was that GTFO kind of vibe, right? Only a little bit more organized. You got like defensive players. It's kind of a little crossover from the other Rainbow Six Siege mode, where you have like that kind of same character setup and development and whatnot. But it looked really, really promising, really, really exciting. I liked it. I don't know. I got really excited about it. I don't know why. It's not like they showed us anything really, really great. And maybe it's because it had like that Dead Space vibe to it. Because I was a huge Dead Space fan, right? When Dead Space came out, I was like just killing it, and I loved every sequel they dropped on it, and just that creepy kind of feel. That's what gave me it from Rainbow Six, and I got really excited about it. D, what do you got for us? What are you most excited about?
I gotta say, mine's the one that I was most excited about. Maybe a game that we really, it's not very widely known, but it's one that they talked about a few years ago, and they've been like kind of slow playing this thing, and people have been wondering when it was going to come out, and that is a game called 12 Minutes. And it's basically a top-down game, and you basically have to solve this like murder that takes place. They have the voice actors in there are going to be Daisy Ridley, James McAvoy, and Willem Dafoe. And basically, the a murder takes place. Cops burst in. They arrest these people, and you have to figure out within a span of 12 minutes what happened. So it's almost like on a time loop. And so they teased this a couple years ago, and they kind of gave us a little bit more last year, but no release date. It finally came back around this time, and they went ahead and said the release date is going to be August 19th of this year. So I'm very excited about that one. I believe it's going to be day one on Game Pass, so that's even better. Dude, Game Pass is proven more and more to be like the best deal in gaming, man. Period.
Oh yeah.
So I'm very excited about that one to come.
And Xbox even addressed that, right? They released a bunch of games saying, here's what's
Oh,
coming out this year. They're all going to be day one Game Pass. They're going all in to where they even said we want to be the Netflix of video games. And I mean, they're well on their way to hitting that goal.
well, that's the thing that is going to set them apart in the console wars. Sony has always been known for being the exclusive guys. Like Nintendo's always been the ones that have released like just very solid game after game after game, like very few bugs and all that stuff. And then Microsoft was like, well, what's one way we can separate ourselves? And it's like, well, we can take all this Bill Gates money and toss it at video games, and we'll make it a library of games. You pay one set price and you get to play all these games in the span of a month. And dude, it's paying off in droves for me.
Yeah, I mean, I picked it up too for the PC because I've been struggling with, do I want the PlayStation 5? Do I want the Xbox One X? Which, because I'm not going to buy both. It's going to be the first time in my life I haven't bought both consoles. But since I PC game mostly, this is a great alternative for me. So just to grab that Game Pass and download the game on my PC. Like I played Madden 21 recently. Like I didn't even think I was going to play Madden because it was on a console, and now I'm able to. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah, all
They
that
have
stuff.
Madden out there?
Yeah, it's on the because with Game Pass, the EA Access thing is included in Game Pass now.
Uh-huh.
So NHL, Madden, all those joints over there on EA are all included. So man, it's easily well worth the $15 a month you're paying for that thing, man. It's crazy.
I was just about to ask you. I'm trying to look it up now exactly how much that costs, because you have Ubisoft that has their subscription based service as well, and I think it's like 10, but it doesn't have nearly the amount of games that probably Xbox is about to put on there. So it's like, might give that up and flop right over.
I mean, look at the Game Pass. They have a lot of good stuff on there, like Dead by Daylight. So you see that streamed a lot. You can get that on the Game Pass, but there's so many games. And then with their day one coming and their partnership with Bethesda, and all their games are now on the Xbox Pass and coming out. So like all the Elder Scrolls, the Fallouts, all those are going to the Xbox Game Pass. So I mean, it's definitely worth it. I actually just started the Yakuza series. which everyone raves about, and I've never played it, so I figured it's on there. Why not give it a shot? And so far, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah,
Doom looks like it's going to be on there.
dude, what they've done, like a few years ago, I remember when Game Pass was really coming about. They basically announced that they would be doing this, and they laid out a game plan. They said, "This is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be adding more games, more studios over time, so our library is going to expand." And people looked at Microsoft like they were crazy. Like, how dare you, ask us to pay for this, and you don't even have like certain titles on there or whatever. But now that they've expanded, they went out and bought Bethesda. They've added EA into the fold. They've added all these games into the fold. It's almost like, dude, if you don't buy it, you're crazy as a console gamer, to not go get this. So it's worth it, man. I mean, they have what, NBA 2K on there. They have like PUBG was on there for a very long time. Like Red Dead Redemption 2 is on there, GTA is on there. It's like, dude, these are major titles that they put on there and made them available for this low cost. So absolutely. But what's some other things that excited you guys about E3 this week?
I mean, go for it, Judy.
I mean, I think the big one here is going to be Battlefield 2042, right? I think that is going to be the one that is going to kind of tickle people the most. If you're not a big COD fan, but you like the COD setup, and you're just sick and tired of the no anti-cheat and all this other crap that's in COD, might be your perfect alternative. Now, I say might be because we all remember what happened to Battlefield 4. And in fact, my news story today is actually over Battlefield 4, where it's actually seeing an increase in server capacity because people are now jumping onto Battlefield 4 in preparation for Battlefield 2042. So we're hoping with, Call of Duty being out for so long, right, that Battlefield kind of shifted their focus and said, hey, the moneymaker is here in Warzone type setup, right? The game itself, yeah, okay, whatever, but really that large scale environment is where our money's going to be, and hopefully they focused on that. The video looks really cool. I haven't actually seen real gameplay from it, and that makes me a little nervous because Battlefield 4 looked really cool too until you got in there and you're like, this is trash, I never want to play this again. So hopefully Battlefield 2042 actually proves to be a good alternative to COD, and for those people that are frustrated with COD not putting an anti-cheat, and if you love COD, hopefully this pushes COD to put in a damn anti-cheat, and that way every time you die, you don't go, that guy's cheating.
Which is, I mean, that's literally all that happens now. You kill someone and you listen to those death comms, and it's like, oh, he was cheating. Oh, he's hacking. It's like, no, I'm just using, the cracked out MG right now, so I'm going to kill you really fast, but that's all it is. But I mean, you hit it, nail on the head. This is going to, I hope, push COD to finally get a good anti-cheat in there, because Battlefield has always had a good one. But I mean, that trailer, we know that's going to hype people up. They had that sweet move, you eject from the jet, you use a rocket launcher, get right back into the jet, which was just awesome. The weather aspect, that was insane. So now everyone's going to have to try it and continue to do that. The weather aspect, I think, is going to be interesting. Having tornadoes and sandstorms, and it almost makes me feel like that's kind of like a battle royale, because there's a quick frame in the trailer, you see this big sandstorm moving in. I'm like, well, that's kind of like gas moving in, but they haven't announced the battle royale for it. So all we know is Battlefield's known for their multiplayer, these large epic maps, these huge giant maps. And I don't know if they're going to branch the battle royale or not, but I'm excited for it. I like that they went future rather than continuing to go into the past. We had Battlefield 1, which was World War I, and they kind of stuck to that old war style. But as Warzone is moving backwards and into the past, I like that Battlefield is moving forward. So we can kind of play with those new gadgets and better jets and better tanks. And vehicle play, Battlefield has always been the best at this. I'm excited to finally get back into some good vehicles.
Yeah, that's absolutely for sure, man. Like Battlefield, they do set the bar very high with their vehicle gameplay and all that stuff, man. It's gonna be interesting to see if they do a battle royale. Will they try to be a Call of Duty adjacent, sort of battle royale, or they just say we'll reinvent the wheel ourselves and do our own thing? I'm kind of interested to see that. But a tidbit on that, the scene from the trailer with the rocket launcher and the jet, that was taken from a guy who there was a guy who invented that move years ago and did it. And I watched his reaction to the trailer, and dude, he was going crazy when he saw that moment in the trailer. He was like, "Yeah!" like just losing it, man. So that was pretty cool. I thought that was dope of them to add that in there as like a nod to him. And yeah, it's gonna be a lot of people trying to pull off that maneuver, man. But that was awesome, dude. Dude, Battlefield has me very hyped, man. As you know, as much as I love Call of Duty, it's always cool to play something that feels different and isn't the same, you know, a copycat. And so I really like Battlefield, man.
Especially with all the weapon balancing issues that COD has right now, I'm curious to see how Battlefield's going to address it, because I've never known them to have issues with weapon balancing. A sniper is a sniper, right? I mean, it is what it is. It's going to have high damage versus a assault rifle that's faster but doesn't have the damage of a sniper. But there was no like, this assault rifle is better than this assault rifle. It was just like, recoil is going to be different because they're two different guns, but overall the damage is going to be about the same. Where Warzone is all over the map on what damage does what, the AMAX, the MG, the Farah, you know, it's just all over the board. So I hope Battlefield keeps their level set, and I'll be excited to actually play a game again where it's a little more realistic, and I don't have to every week research JGOD and say, okay, what gun am I supposed to be using now? Because what's the new meta gun that I have to use to be competitive?
Right. Yeah.
This would be a big time right there. I guess another game that I was excited for, man, was the Guardians of the Galaxy game from Square Enix.
I was just about to bring that
Dude,
up. Yeah.
I love the Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, when I first read about them many years ago, about the comic books, I've always loved Rocket Raccoon. I've always loved, you know, Star-Lord and all that stuff. Their story has been awesome and very unique. So when they came to the MCU, I was very excited and looking forward to seeing them on the big screen. And now they're expanding on it even more and giving them their own game from Square Enix. You know, they made the Avengers game, but now they're making this separate game. And so I'm excited to see if they somehow tie these into the Avengers games, or if they keep it a standalone and be its own story. But it looks amazing. It looks awesome. I'm very excited to see what they do. It seems like from the voice acting in there, they're kind of leaning the MCU route, you know, with the voices and everything. But I'm very excited about that one.
There was a game that was announced that I'm trying to find, and I cannot find it, but it was pretty exciting. I heard from fans who were actually at the E3 on Guardian of the Galaxy that it had more promise than the Marvel one. And I know the Marvel Avengers game that they launched, you know, I know that there were some big time streamers that were playing it for just a little bit, but most people who played it said they were very disappointed in the gameplay, the setup, the storyline was kind of trashy. But when they played Guardian of the Galaxies, they said this has significantly better tie-ins to the MCU world. It has, you know, more realistic gameplay. It's not super hard or super easy, which is what the problem was with Marvel Avengers. So we're hoping the Guardian of the Galaxies is cool. I do like the fact that from the gameplay that I've seen, it was pretty neat. You know, it's his double gun, because, you know, that's all it is. Da, 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 and then he's like jumping around and diving and things are chasing him. And I'm like, I think the storyline on here will be good. You got a lot to work with, so hopefully it's not disappointing. But no, I'm excited about it. I think out of all the things that they've released, and it's always hard, right? And I've went over this before in one of our other games to movie concepts. It's very, very difficult to take something that was already a movie and then try and make it into a game, as opposed to making a game into a movie. It's easier to do the opposite than it is to go backwards. Your fans who are non-comic book related and aren't really into games from their childhood, these are the people who have only seen the movies and are now maybe going to pick up the game. And I think that's where you have a lot. And I think that's honestly why Marvel Avengers did so bad. I don't think it was a bad game. I played the demo of it and it was pretty fun, but it just wasn't, when you're trying to compare it, there's no comparison, right? And I think that's where a lot of fans get struggled.
I think that's the issue, right? Is fans who aren't comic book fans pick up these games that are based off of the comic books and not based off of the movies. And they go into this game thinking it's going to be the movie. Like, I'm going to hear Robbie Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. And it's like, well, no, You know, one, they can't afford Robert Downey Jr., so you're not going to get anyone that sounds like him. But like even like look at the Guardians trailer for this game. It's more closely tied to the comic books than it is the actual movie because the characters do not look like the actors who portrayed them because they're closer to the comics and that's how the comics are set up. So I think that's the split, and I think you hit it right. Is those who don't know the comics are going to have a much more negative review of these comic book video games because they're expecting the movie. And they have to just understand there's a whole backlog of comics that have been going on for decades that's going to help fuel this game. And it's not just the 2 Guardians of the Galaxy movies that have come out. You know, there's years of stuff going on back here, and that's what they're going to have to focus on. And like I was watching the trailer while you were talking again, and like Quill does not look like the MCU's Quill. You know, Gamora has longer hair than the MCU's. Even Rocket looks different. Yeah, Brax looks different. He has different coloring on him. Groot is a lot bigger than what we saw in the MCU. Even Mantis looks completely different to me. So I mean, I'm curious to see what the reviews are going to say when it actually comes out and the everyday gamer plays it. Are they going to go, well, this isn't the MCU movie universe? And it's like, well, no, it's not supposed to be. But I agree, though. I think it looks good. I'm excited for it. Watching the trailer again kind of got me re-hyped for it. I'm like, oh, I really want to play this. I think it's going to be fun. But I've been really cautious lately with games, starting really with No Man's Sky, because that game got such hype years ago and was trash when it came out. And I pre-ordered it, I bought it, I played it day one, and after about 2 hours, I realized I did everything I can do. And it was like the same thing over and over and over. And granted, No Man's Sky has fixed themselves. You can do a whole lot more now. You can build bases. You can do all sorts of stuff. But every game that was released, including Battlefield 2042, I'm looking at it going, yes, I'm excited, but I want to see what you actually produce because you gave me the shiny version of the game. I want to see the real game. And that's where the gameplay trailers need to come in.
Well, I think that's a problem we have with modern games today because they are bigger in scale to create. Like these developers, especially when E3 comes around, they'll put out teaser trailers basically, but not realizing like you're getting a teaser trailer, but the actual game from it being in your hand and you able to play it is like 2 years away, you know. But it's on the developer at that time to say, okay, we got 2 years before we put this thing on the shelves. Dude, we have to make a game that's deep and immersive. You can't just give this top sort of game and then say, we'll give you more later, because that's what happened to No Man's Sky. That's what happened to Destiny. You know, that's what happened with the Avengers game. Like the Avengers game, it's the Avengers. You put this thing out while the MCU is a thing. Fans are expecting some grand adventure where you're getting to control all the Avengers. You're getting to be badass like the Avengers we see on the screen. And then when you put out a game and it's like, yeah, a lot of these missions are like repeating. Like, it's like, oh, so I beat up more robots again. I got to mine, you know, this spot. I got to go to the end of this level. And then it's like fight a big robot. Okay, is that it? Like, I mean, but that's what they gave fans, and I know fans were expecting more. And I was in the minority. I actually liked the story of the Avengers game. I thought it was cool. I just wish that once that story was over, they gave you more to do. Like there should be stuff like the raids on Destiny in the Avengers game and stuff like that. Like, you know, you going into enemy bases or fighting big bad villains or whatever it is. There should be more of that. You know, I am happy that they're doing the Black Panther expansion because you do need more of that stuff. But dude, you got to stop putting out these games that are like short in length and then getting like shocked when fans don't want to be in on the player base. Because Avengers is probably the latest one that I've seen where initially they had a huge player base to start and then it dropped off quick,
real fast.
You know, it was like people beat the game and then they said, I'm done with it. You know? So.
Well, and Destiny was like that too. When they first released, especially Destiny 2, when that first release, people played it like crazy because the first one was so good and finished it in a matter of hours and said, well, now what? And then they went away to where now they introduced the raids and they're doing seasons. And but that came, a year and a half later? you've already lost a huge chunk of your fan base. Like, I haven't gone back to Destiny because I'm like, well, I played it, I finished my part, I'm on to other games. There's a better game over here.
It's hard to put out these games like when you're not necessarily given a finished product. Like if you want to do something like a Overwatch style game where it's continued adding on to the character skins or whatever it is, that's fine. But if you're a story based game that's supposed to have a team element to it, dude, that's got to be a deep game, from the gate. It should have been at least 40 hours of gameplay, like on the shelf.
Yeah.
Like you can't give a story that lasts what I think it lasted maybe 8 hours total if you did the
Right.
story, and then after that, basically the missions that you would go on was repeats from the story, and it's like, well, I don't want to do that again.
Right.
And why? What am I aiming for? To get more chest plates? To get more gear? Like,
Right.
no, man. So it's weird how they do it, but it is what it is. But some other games that I was excited about, I saw that I've never played Brawlhalla. I've watched it because a couple people that I follow on Twitch actually stream it. It's like a Smash Brothers type of game where people are fighting on a platform. But I saw that they're introducing the Ninja Turtles as some characters in Brawlhalla. I was like, well, that's it won't get me to play it, but it'll definitely get me to watch a little more footage of it. So I'm excited to see how they do that in there, man. And I think more games should branch out and do like the crossover type of things with like some of these well-known characters because it brings more eyes to the product. So I'm excited to see that one.
I have never actually played Brawlhalla, but you're right, I've seen it, and I'm like, that's kind of interesting. I'm not really a big Smash fan, so I've never really dived into it. But I agree. I think bring in recognizable characters. I mean, Fortnite does it amazingly, as we know. I don't know why they're bringing Rick and Morty in, but okay. But I mean, the Ninja Turtles work, right? They're a fighting team into a fighting game. I didn't watch any of the information on the Brawlhalla release just because, like I said, I'm not a fan of those types of games. But any way you can bring my nostalgia back, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I didn't actually see that release at all. Brawlhalla.
Well,
That's it.
I mean that's just something. I mean, speaking of crossovers, I saw that Smash Brothers during the Nintendo presser, they're bringing in Jin from Tekken as the next character. So I mean, they Nintendo is doing it right with the Smash Brothers franchise by bringing in all these other characters. Hell, they brought in Sonic, they brought in Solid Snake, all these characters to the Smash Brothers franchise. So that keeps fans coming back over there. But another good old crossover, and that is on Sea of Thieves. And
Yep.
that is the introduction of Jack Sparrow. Perfect
Yes.
addition to a game, based around pirating and all that stuff. So, dude, that trailer was pretty good, and it had me actually fooled for a second, thinking that was really Johnny Depp. But I was like, "There's no way in hell this dude would voice himself on a Sea of Thieves game."
No way. When I first started streaming on Twitch, I played 2 games, Warzone and Sea of Thieves.
I remember I was about to bring it up.
And every time I would do Sea of Thieves, JD would jump on my chat and go, "What are you playing? Why aren't you playing Warzone?" But I really enjoy Sea of Thieves. I haven't played it in a minute. I mean, it's been a long time. I think bringing in the Pirates of the Caribbean and Jack Sparrow might get me to kind of brush the dust off of it and try to remember how to play and dive back into it. But I was kind of excited to see that. I'm a big fan of Pirates of the Caribbean. And it just makes sense, right? It's a pirate game in the Caribbean. Why wouldn't you have these characters there? But I'm glad Microsoft and Disney were able to come to an agreement to bring them in.
Dude, Microsoft, as of right now, I'll say like their last year and a half has been nothing but perfect moves for building their brand and everything. Like, if you look at it right now, you can easily get an Xbox easier than you can a PlayStation right now. They have Game Pass on there. There's a million games you can play on there right now. And granted, not all of them are Xbox exclusive, but I'd rather pay $15 and be able to play it until I beat it and then be done with it, move on to the next game without paying additional money, as opposed to only buying, PlayStation games and have to keep paying $40 to $60 again and again and again. So that was awesome, man, and I was glad to see that crossover right there. They did a hell of a job with that one.
So is their plan to release AAA titles into this the Game Pass every time?
Yep, they won.
Okay.
I don't know about every time, but they did say Phil Spencer has come out and said it won't be every time, but a lot of them will be day one on Game Pass as well. Because that was what was the game? It was a game recently. It just came out. Oh, MLB The Show. So it came out on PlayStation and Xbox, but Xbox got it for sale and on Game Pass, so you can play it either way. And PlayStation people were pissed because they had to pay, like $60 or whatever for that thing over there. And they were like, well, why did they get it over there? Well, that's Xbox's thing. And people were mad at PlayStation for that. So, I mean, if PlayStation, Xbox did the deal with Bethesda, so they'll be having all those games coming out, under their banner. But they also said some of them would still go to PlayStation. It's going to be the same thing again. PlayStation fans are going to be pissed that they got to pay for it, while Xbox people get it day one on Game Pass. So, I personally, that's why I have all the consoles, so I don't have this problem. But, if I had to choose, I would definitely have chosen Xbox, because I'm not paying $60 when I could pay $15 and be done with it.
See, there's rumor, though, that Sony's been making a lot of moves in the background and buying up smaller developer companies to make them exclusive games. So I'm curious if that's why Sony didn't go to E3, because they're busy doing this other, almost secret move that we just haven't seen yet. It's really easy right now, and I'm not defending Sony in any way. It's really easy now to say, oh, Microsoft is beating out Sony. Look at what they did at E3. Look at all this great stuff that they're doing. Look what they bought up. But we haven't seen the other side of the argument, right? We've only seen one side of it, and that's all we have. So we're saying, yes, absolutely, Xbox is the winner here. But when you dive into the stats of it all, the PlayStation 5 has outsold the Xbox Series X, so they've kind of won that console release war. Of course, with limited supplies of both, it's kind of skewed numbers. Can you really tell who's won when, it's kind of hard to see what they would have been if you had a better supply? And then there's talk of PlayStation changing their PlayStation Plus. But they haven't said anything. They said they're making tweaks to it, but it was kind of like a tongue-in-cheek, like, yeah, we're changing it. But they wouldn't say exactly what it was. I think Sony needs to change theirs and make it more like the Game Pass to compete with Microsoft. Because you're right, D, hands down, Microsoft, when it comes to online demand or on-demand games, Xbox wins hands down. I don't care what console Sony comes out with. Xbox has that beat, because exactly, you can get MLB The Show day one for free. Well, free, you're paying the $15 a month. Where Sony, I have to pay their $60 a year for their PlayStation Plus, get 2 games a month that I may or may not be interested in, and then pay $60 for MLB The Show. So I'm really out there. Where Xbox is like, no, yeah, pay our $15 a month, which is granted, do the math, more than $60 a year, but look at the games you get. So I'm curious if Sony's going to do a separate kind of conference outside of E3. I can understand they didn't want to get drowned out from Microsoft and Xbox or Nintendo and everything else that was released, but they need to present their side of the argument, because right now Xbox is hot.
Can't tell if JD's talking to us or the chat.
Sorry, I said I didn't realize I was on mute. I said, isn't Sony planning on having their own conference next month or the month after?
I think so.
It's supposed to be sometime in the summer that they're having their own thing. And I don't get why they do this. I understand that they want to be like, oh, we're big, but people were paying attention to E3. You have a captive audience for not just your brand, but everybody's brand, right? You have Nintendo, you have Xbox. This is an opportunity, Sony, for you to siphon away Xbox fans, to siphon away Nintendo fans, and bring them to your platform by having these exclusive launches at this day, and people are going, oh wow, I need to get me a PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4 so I can get this game. But by you doing your own thing, you almost drowned yourself out, because no one's paying attention anymore. when you have major events, I understand that like we're big enough that we're going to have the attention of the media. You're right, but will you have the attention of the fans? You have your own fans paying attention, great. But you're not going to have. If I'm an Xbox only fan, I don't give a crap. Sony has their own thing because there's nothing exciting about that to me, right?
It's a risk, right?
Yeah,
I
it's a
mean,
huge risk, I think.
if you don't have something huge planned for your release coming 1 month or 2 months after E3, people are going to watch it. You're right. You're going to have the fans that watch it. I can see Xbox people watching because they want to see what the other side is doing. But if it's not huge and it's not jaw dropping, people are going to go, why'd you wait? Like,
Right.
why didn't you just throw it in with E3 and just be a part of that community? But if you're coming out to where like the PlayStation 5 is now going to make you coffee every morning and boot up your game for you and make it big, then okay, I can see you separating it out because you want the spotlight. Where E3, you're sharing the spotlight, you want it yourself. I get that, but it has to be big. It has to be like they need to say that they have 3 million PS5s in reserve now, ready to release, so they can finally kill this demand for it. Oh, and by the way, we're going to change the Game Pass to be like the PlayStation Plus to be like the Game Pass. I mean, it has to be a big announcement, I feel, or Sony's going to fall flat on their face. And you're right, JD. People are going to go, "Why do I care?" That was really dumb.
Well, and I think the fact that Sony did make an announcement at E3, right? Hey, we're going to be redoing Final Fantasies 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? But that to me, that would have been something I would have held for the exclusive, right? I mean, that's a big deal if you're a Final Fantasy fan, right?
Absolutely.
You're like, oh my god, this is great. We're going to get it remastered, almost like Final Fantasy 7, right? We're going to get this thing remastered. It's going to be great, especially if that's a game you grew up with. But then Sony announces it at E3 and not at their exclusive next month, which I would have thought would have been one of your headliners to grab those fans back in. So I don't know. I don't know what their strategy is here. I'm curious. PlayStation, Sony has been known to fail before, right? During the VHS console war, they brought up their own little, VHS type thing, and it fell flat in their face, and they almost lost the Blu-ray against HD. Was Microsoft versus Sony there too? So I just hope that they have thought this through and really have something that's going to impress me or make me excited or get me tickled somewhere that Rainbow Six did.
I feel like with like Sony at this point right now, they're playing catch up. They're playing catch up to Microsoft because for about a year or so now, Microsoft has kind of started to inch out, a little more. They've started to, push ahead a little more. Now, yes, people want the PlayStation 5. They're trying to still get their hands on it, and that's the preferred console for a lot of games because they have a lot of exclusives. But for overall experience, people are still getting their hands on that Xbox because one, the package deal that Xbox is offering with games, entertainment, like just overall is it's getting bigger and bigger because like I said, Xbox, for years, PlayStation has been known as the exclusive king. They have all the best exclusives, The Last of Us, God of War, Uncharted, all that stuff. And that's awesome. But if that's all you have is just these big AAA titles that that you rely on, well, what are you going to do while Sony is just nickel and diming you with all these small releases and they're just dropping them like a hammer, man, every 2 seconds on you? So, I mean, if you want to branch out of E3, that's cool, do your own thing. But E3 wasn't about you as a company. It was about the fans.
Right.
Fans want to see that competition. They want to see you not shy away from your competition and say, we're going to go do our own thing. No, we appreciated like the years of past where Xbox would do their conference at like 10 o'clock. And they come out and be like, oh, our console is going to be $399. And then an hour after that, PlayStation would do theirs and say, our console is going to be $299. And it goes on sale a month earlier. So fans want that stuff. And to pull out of E3 kind of comes off as cowardice a little bit, to some of us. But we also want to see what you've been working on. By you not showing up, you're either telling fans you don't have anything, or when you do your conference a month later, you better have an absolute, fireworks show going on with all the stuff you plan on announcing. Because if they show up and do some ho-hum thing like, yeah, we're still working on God of War 2, guys, and how about another Last of Us game 5 years from now? Like, that's not going to cut it, man. You got to bring more to the table.
That's
Yeah,
why I'm
I agree.
hoping, like all this background stuff they're doing with buying up exclusive titles. I hope they just announce them, and that I hope they're big because Microsoft has the big names that we know of already. So partnership with EA, Bethesda, they already have these big partners. So Sony has to come out of the gates like full sprint and just like wow us from the start.
Yeah, and hopefully they're announcing something like we have our own cloud-based gaming platform that we're going to be launching. Hey, and PC players, we're going to bring you into the mix as well. Now
Right.
you have direct competition on Xbox and PlayStation on the PC platforms, and hopefully we're getting something like that. I don't think we are. PlayStation, it drags its feet on really like revolutionizing what it does, right? So in this case, like cloud-based gaming's been around forever, right? And Xbox finally is the one that pulled the trigger and took advantage of it. I think I see, the guys at Sony's headquarters looking at that going, yeah, it probably won't last too long because how are they going to make their money? Well, it's $180 a year, right? At $15 a pop. So that's me buying 3 games. If I'm an average gamer who buys maybe 1 game a year, you're getting 2 more games out of me. And I'm playing titles that I probably wouldn't have played, and maybe I get hooked onto a storyline, right? And maybe I start, Far Cry 1, Far Cry 2, make my way up, right? Or something along those lines. And now I'm hooked into something I would not have normally been hooked in. And now I'm keeping my Game Pass going, right? And I think that's where Sony or Xbox, sorry, is going to see its money. So I should say Microsoft in this case, is going to see its money. And then those people, of course, who subscribe and then play 1 game, then forget they have it, go do something else. That credit card keeps getting charged every month. And because it's only $15, most people aren't going to catch it, especially if they have, $500 bills coming out every couple of weeks. So, then Microsoft sits there and goes, hey, chick-ching, chick-ching, we don't even have to give this guy anything, and he's still paying us.
Well, man, that's about crazy. I mean, let's see, what other games I jumped in? Oh, Back for Blood. So we've been seeing a little bit about that game over the last couple months. It's sort of it's going to be the predecessor to the Left 4 Dead franchise. So Back for Blood is coming out, and you're back in the the 4-person team where you're battling hordes of zombies. And this one, it's very Left 4 Deadish in its gameplay, but it looks like they took what was the Left 4 Dead style of play and added a little more to it. Added a little more, I guess, chaos to the game. So it looks very fun. I'm looking forward to this. But there was another one that came out that looks pretty similar to this style, and that is called Redfall. And
Mhm.
dude, this game looks very fun. Instead of zombies, they go the vampire route in this game. And the characters themselves from the team, the 4-person team, have little powers and abilities themselves to actually compete and fight against the thing. So, man, I'm looking forward to that one more than Back for Blood now. So, I'm excited to see that one. And I believe that one is going to be on the Xbox Game Pass as well when it
Yep.
comes out.
Ooh, man. The more you guys talk about this, and yeah, I understand Redfall comes out December 2022, but the more you guys talk about this, the more I'm like, I really need to get on this Microsoft Game Pass, right? Like,
Dude,
why
You do.
not?
You
It's only
do.
$15, and it's golly.
I
I'm
did the
t-
same thing though. I went back and forth. I'm like, it's another subscription. I already have EA. I have Ubisoft. I have all these other ones. What's another one? And then finally, like, I looked at the game catalog for PC because there are some games that are only for the console that you can't get on the PC. But like, I looked at them. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot here that I want to play. And then now with E3 announcing they're going to do 6 months of games, AAA games releasing on the Game Pass, and I heard Redfall is going to be on Game Pass day one. I'm like, I got to do it. So I went ahead and bought it, and I have no regrets. Like, I've been really enjoying it so far playing these games. I played most of them offline. I don't stream them, but I've enjoyed it. Got to
Dude,
get it.
the Game Pass is, we've been saying this. Game Pass is the best deal in gaming, period, man. Straight up. And even if you don't want to get it to play your games on Xbox, just like Coob said, get it for your PC games. You play on PC, it is absolutely worth it because there's plenty of games there that even if you just want to try them, it's worth it to say, man, I only paid $15. I'll try this. I spent, because what I do, one of the things I do, I like collecting up the gamer points on Xbox because you can actually use it for gift cards and stuff like that later on. So I'll just try games on Game Pass, and they have challenges and stuff like, oh, try 4 new games this month on Game Pass, and you'll get points for that. That all adds up, and then in the end, you can get gift cards at the end of the year or whatever. It's win-win, man. Like, this Xbox is doing it absolutely right. I feel like they take everything that other companies fail at, and then they put their own spin on it and make it fun for everyone. You know, PlayStation had PlayStation Now, but not a lot of people wanted to mess with that. You know, now Xbox was like, we'll do it our way with Game Pass, except the games we'll put on there, we'll put a mixture of games that people actually want to play, want to try, and then some stuff that is maybe just kind of tossed in just as filler. But dude, there's a lot. Their library, I would probably say, I've looked through their library, on a month to month basis. There's at least at any given time 10 games in there that I want to try and that I'll download. So awesome.
Let me ask you this: do you have to download each one of these games, Coov, or do you play them straight from the cloud?
No, you download them.
You have to download, so they take up space. That is if you're going to be doing something like this. And just to make sure all of our fans know, no, we are not getting paid by Microsoft to, to
not
push
an
Game
ad.
Pass here. This is strictly from a user-based perspective only. But do you understand that if you're going to get Game Pass and you're going to do that and you're a PC player, just make sure you have the proper hard drive space.
That's right.
We got to talk. We got to talk Xbox if PlayStation is not going to show their ass up to E3. So.
I mean, right. That's all we have to talk about. And Nintendo. And there's some games I want to talk about on Nintendo. But I want to circle back to Redfall really quick. I got excited for this trailer when I saw it. It looks really cool, showing off the 4 team members' kind of special abilities. But it reminded me of Borderlands. It was a 4 team, each with a little bit of power. And the powers were kind of the same. You had a sniper, who was kind of like a little enhanced of a sniper who can go invisible. You had the Scion from Borderlands here. You have this girl who can make an elevator appear and it launches you up into the air, and she can do telekinesis a little bit. You had the guy with the automatic wooden stake gun, so that's kind of like your fighter from Borderlands. So I mean, it was. You even have Claptrap, right? You have this little machine in here that was like fighting with one of the guys in the trailer, and it's like, oh, that's kind of Claptrap. Kind of looks like him too, just a little bit smaller. But I mean, even that being said, I'm excited to see it. The trailer was not in game graphics; it was definitely a movie that they put together, but it looked cool. The humor I can tell is interesting, and then when I researched it outside of the trailer, it's a open world vampire game, vampire hunting, I guess, game. But it's co-op. Yeah, right. But it's co-op, so it's meant to be played with up to 4 people. So again, kind of like Borderlands. Borderlands is open world concept. You have a mission, a story you can go through. But me comparing it to Borderlands, I'm not knocking it for that. I love the Borderlands series. Like every time a Borderlands game comes out, I dive on it and want to play it. So I'm really excited to see Redfall and kind of introduce the vampire aspect of it and see what that's going to look like. In comparison to Left 4 Dead, I've never really been a big fan of Left 4 Dead. I played both of them, so Back 4 Blood or Back 4 Blood, probably I'm not going to pick up.
Redfall definitely is very exciting, man. That I don't know that because I played Left 4 Dead in the past and that was fun. Back 4 Blood looks fun, because it gives me Left 4 Dead vibes. But when I saw Redfall, dude, I was like, man, forget Back 4 Blood. I want this game first and right now, man. So I'm very excited for that one. Like you hit the nail on the head with that one. It does get me Borderlands vibes with that one, man. I really enjoyed the Borderlands game. So this one is going to be cool. I think it'll be awesome, especially if we all squad up and play together. That would be pretty cool to jump in on that one, man.
I mean, I see streaming right here. Here's 3 of the people. We just need 1 more.
Right. I think the thing that was probably the most shocking from Microsoft's perspective is still no announcement on Halo having a battle royale. That has been the number one talked about issue since Halo had been launched this year. I don't particularly see how you roll a battle royale into Halo. I think that's a little weird. I think that's fans just really wanting something that probably shouldn't exist in Halo. But I do think it is weird Microsoft hasn't announced anything to do with that, right? Like, hey, shut up. There's not going to be a damn battle royale here. Or, hey, we're working on it. Chill, right? Nothing. They've just been mute on it. And I think that's just a little weird from their perspective, since it's like their exclusive ace, top tier game that they are known for having. I think they want to kind of place it to that community a little bit.
Well, since you brought up Halo, I guess I asked the question because I wrote this down in my notes because I watched the trailer and everything, and I just didn't get excited for it like I usually do, man. So I wrote down the question underneath. I was like, Halo trailer, and I wrote the question: is Halo dead at this point? You know, do fans really care about it like the way they used to? Because remember last year when they dropped the Halo footage, fans were pissed. They was like, dude, we got new, consoles coming out. Why the hell does this look like, a PlayStation 3 game? Or something. Like fans were pissed. Like they thought it had regressed, and everything. So that was my question. Do you think like the Halo franchise is done for?
I mean, I feel like they're branching out, but not in a good way. So, like, we saw the Halo Infinite trailer that released for E3, specifically the multiplayer, and people thought this was going to be the battle royale because they even said it's free to play. You can download it, you can jump right into it, but it's multiplayer. It's not a battle royale. But then you look at the characters of Halo Infinite multiplayer, and it's a culmination of all the Halo characters we've seen across their games. Like from Halo Reach, and obviously Master Chief is in there. But to answer your question, I don't think they're dead. I think they're dying. I think they need to revitalize the franchise somehow, in a way that gets people excited. Because I feel like introducing a battle royale isn't going to do it, because there's so many battle royales to choose from right now. With Warzone kind of still being top of the mountain. But Apex quickly closing that gap to take over. They need to do something. I don't know what that is, but I think they're dying to where eventually they're going to release another Master Chief focused Halo, and people are going to go, yeah, all right, I guess. They're not going to get like excited like they used to. Like when you heard Master Chief's voice at E3, the crowd would go wild, and like now it's just like, well, I guess, if you have to release another one. But Halo Infinite, free day one on the Game Pass. Just saying, JD.
Yeah, I think they're in the hospital, right? They're on life support. The doctor came in here and said, prognosis, it ain't good. It ain't good. All right. I think they got one foot in the grave. They have got to do something, and it's hard, right? I mean, it's hard when you have Final Fantasy is no different, right? You still have your hardcore Final Fantasy fans. You still have your hardcore Halo fans. The general population, though, is what makes or breaks these games, because that core base is not going to be enough to keep carrying your titles, right? Because the goal is to make more and more money every year you launch it. And I think you're not drawing the fans like you need to, especially, and I think they're finding this, is these exclusive titles are getting harder and harder to sell in a world where cross-platform games are really killing it, right? I mean, I would have thought Rocket League would have taken off, but it was one of the first cross-platform games that was like huge, and everybody was like, I love this. And it was designed for like little kids, and you got full-grown adults in here playing Rocket League. Soccer game, by the way. So I think they're close. I think they need to do something very dramatic to kind of get the fans engaged and back in it again. I'm like you. I just don't know if they have it. They are. It almost looks like that kid at the pool that's drowning. He's flailing his arms. I feel like that's what Halo is doing, right? They're just kind of throwing stuff out there and see if they get somebody throw them a damn life raft. And I just don't know if they're going to get it, and that worries me.
Question: do you think like fans will give them another chance after this releases, or will this be it for them? Like fans will say, if this isn't a home run, I'm out.
I mean, Master Chief is the Mario for Xbox, right? It's their mascot when it comes to Xbox. We've had Master Chief since the very first Xbox console came out. You're always going to have that nostalgia or that loyalty to Master Chief. So I think if Infinite comes out and it flops and it's not nearly as good as they're hoping, I think you're going to lose a big portion of the fan base, and you're going to lose the ability to release any Halo game that is not Master Chief. So no matter what you do, your next Halo game, if you continue to make them, has to be Master Chief focused. That's going to be the only way you're going to keep that lifeline going. If Infinite falls and they make another Reach or another strategy Halo, which I can't remember what that one was called, you're done. I think that's going to end the series right there.
Yeah, it used to be back in the day when you were on Twitch, everybody had like Master Chief icons and like they were had the little emotes and I mean, you don't see any of that anymore. I feel like if this is a failure, this may be it. I mean, they're gonna release another one obviously because it's their main game, but I think eventually they're gonna see that it's not gonna be worth the money they're putting into it. You have people like me and you guys who all grew up with when Xbox first launched playing the first Halo, and this game has been released and released, and now you just don't seem to really get excited about it anymore. And I think that's where you've lost a lot of people. And no different than Final Fantasy, right? I mean, Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy Tactics, which is the best game. I mean, when you start losing those fans when you don't give them stuff that they want, I feel like you're right. I just this might be it for them. I don't know. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they come out and this is like absolute success. It re-energizes the entire platform, and everybody's like, "Hey, low," right? But I don't know.
I got well, my idea for them. Stop making games. Make a Halo movie. I think that fans are ready for a Halo movie. Not only could it be huge for them, it'll bring that nostalgia back that fans have been wanting, but I think it'll also break that mold of just putting out what seems like the same game over and over and over. Like, if fans are asking for a battle royale and you're not giving it to them, go the movie route, dude. Just give them something that's adding on to the franchise instead of being the same old same, man. And I think a movie could work for them. I don't think a TV show would work for them, but a nice 2 hour, 2.5 hour long, adventure with Master Chief would be awesome.
I'm looking through their Xbox's web page for Halo Infinite. So this is their dedicated game page. The only thing on here is multiplayer, which worries me because they haven't said Halo Infinite is just a multiplayer game, but that's all you've seen on the trailer. I think it is. I think it's going to be multiplayer only. Like, they even break it down to regular multiplayer or arena, which says up to 4 player squad. So I think this is going to be a battle royale style, and then big team battle. So your kind of epic battlefield type battles here. So I mean, I haven't dove much into Halo Infinite. I've kind of given up on Halo. I replayed the Master Chief Collection recently, and that was fun. But I've kind of given up on Halo in general, personally. So I did not dive into this. If it is multiplayer only, and I'm thinking it's supposed to have a single player too, that's on me. But looking at their webpage, it says two game modes: arena and big team battle. So I don't know. We'll have to see what it does.
Well, and you remember that Call of Duty came out with a multiplayer only game. Remember, they got rid of storyline because they're like, nobody plays the storyline. And when they did, that game just flopped. Right? I can't remember which one it was, but everybody was like, this is stupid. I don't want anything to do with this. Like, the whole purpose of Call of Duty, it was like
it
3 years
the last
ago,
one, like Blackout or whatever? I think it was Blackout.
I can't remember which one it was. I just remember like fans, like you lost half your fan base that was playing the storyline that fed into the multiplayer and gave you context as to what you were seeing in multiplayer, right? And then of course you had your hardcore that just cared about multiplayer and that was it because they were in Call of Duty leagues or whatever the case was, right? But at the end of the day, I don't know if that's going to be. I hope Halo is not coming out with a multiplayer only mode because if that's the case, one, it looks lazy in my opinion for game designers to come out and say, "Here's a multiplayer." I can make a damn multiplayer in freaking a week. Why the hell do I care? Like, that's just stupid. Like, give me something that makes me remember this game, and that comes from the storyline.
Well, what about some Nintendo news, ladies and gentlemen?
I got a game they announced that I am super excited for. Finally coming out with My Little Pony. No. I am excited for a new Metroid game. I grew up playing Metroid. I love the whole Metroid series, the story behind it. I'm trying to figure out where they fit in the stupid timeline because they're all over the board. Not as bad as Zelda, but they are all over the board. But Nintendo announced Metroid Dread, and not too much was really given about what the game's story is supposed to be about. But we're back to a 2D side-scroller, much like Super Metroid, Metroid Zero, and those games, which I like. I like the 2D side-scrollers. But the trailer looked really good. Updated graphics. There's, I guess, this ongoing robot that's trying to hunt you down that you have to avoid. But what I thought was cool is they introduced looked like a blocking system. So like this creature flew in at Samus and she like batted it away and then shot it. So it looks like you can have some counter moves in there. So updating her controls, which I'm excited for. Metroid Dread, I'm excited for it. I will be picking it up. I don't care if that's a pre-order. I will always do.
So one of my favorite things to do, like when I watch like these press conferences, especially the way they do them now, like via YouTube or other streaming sites and stuff. Sometimes, most of the time, I watch them in full screen. You know, where I don't see nothing but just what's on the screen. When the Samus reveal came up, I opened the chat because I wanted to see the chat. Dude, they were going crazy in there when they showed Samus. And I'm a big Metroid fan. I remember playing all the games on Nintendo all the way up through GameCube. And I just wanted them to just continue to pump these games out. For some reason, Nintendo is just like, yo, we know you want a franchise, but no. We're going to put this bad boy in the library until we ready. And a couple things I don't understand. How we haven't gotten a Metroid sequel, like a proper one until now, and how the hell we haven't had a Metroid movie. How is that not a thing? Because I said years ago, this was before she was in the MCU, but I said years ago they should have did a Metroid movie with Scarlett Johansson as Samus. I thought that would have been amazing, dude. And I don't know how we didn't get one, but man, when that game popped up on the screen, I too was going crazy. I was jumping around in here in the room and just like, man, I can't believe we're getting another Metroid game. And then, like you said, I noticed the block too. I said, are they going to have a blocking mechanic in there? Because that would be amazing to add on to the game. And you know, I still want a big, you know, open world Metroid game style game, but I'll take a 2D side scroller as well, man.
I think the last time that Nintendo released a game that turned into a movie was Super Mario Brothers. No, play.
Yeah, right.
Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth, sir.
There's
I'm
a
very, very
reason.
uncomfortable with that movie.
There's the reason Nintendo doesn't make movies.
Yeah. After that, they said, you know what? Not for us. I don't know. I have only ever played Metroid like once in my life, so I'm not a big Metroid fan. If it came out the theater, I probably wouldn't watch it unless it gave me something similar to like MCU with that kind of like drawing. But I don't know. I don't know.
Would watch a movie if it was done right. I think you have a lot of good content there. I would love to see a live action Metroid. I think that would just be really cool to see, and how they design it to look and like give it flight. I mean, obviously all CGI for the Metroid, but I mean, you have so many good characters in there. You have Ripley would be a great character to put into a movie, or Ridley, not Ripley, Ridley. But I didn't see anything on, and maybe I missed it if they did announce it. Nintendo didn't say anything about Metroid Prime 4, which is in their lineup to be released. But I think it's scheduled 2022 or 2023 right now. I was really hoping to see something on Metroid Prime 4 because I love the Metroid Prime games. And I'll admit, growing up with Metroid, every Metroid was a 2D side scroller. When Prime 1 came out and they said it's a first person Metroid, I'm like, how? Like, you have to roll into a ball, and how are you going to do any of that? And I played it, and they did it right. Like, it was awesome. So I played 1, 2, and 3. I played them all, and I've been waiting for, it's been, 15 years since 3 has come out? And now they're finally releasing 4 for the Switch. I'm excited for it, but I'll have a holdover of Dread because it's new. Like, I was getting tired of them remaking their old Metroid games with better graphics and re-releasing them for $60. But I'm excited for Dread. I'm glad they're releasing a new one finally, and continue that storyline a little bit more.
Well, and let's be honest, doesn't shy away from delaying titles either, right? So we're expecting it to come out maybe next year, this year, somewhere in that ballpark, but it'll likely get pushed again. It's been 15 years, right? They'd be like, we've been working on this 14 years ago. I'm playing.
Yeah, right.
I mean, they're not afraid to delay games. They never have been. They're very, I think it's almost like they're very focused on quality. And I think that's a good thing because they don't do like Assassin's Creed that releases it and then has to do like 1,000 patches after its release.
Or
They test
Cyberpunk.
it, yeah, or Cyberpunk. They release their game and there's very little updates that ever go on, at least from my perspective that I've seen when I play Nintendo games. And I think that's a credit to how well they do it. But on the downside, you leave fans hanging for 15 years and they lose interest in it and don't want to come back.
That's been Nintendo's, like, that's been the one thing they can stand on. While they do, Nintendo may, of all the companies, does the least fan service. They appreciate their fans, but they're not going to cater to them just because. They'll tell you, like, look, we're going to give you games you like and you want, but you're going to have to wait for them. But when you get them, they're going to be bugless and they're going to be full games. Like, ain't going to be none of that DLC crap over here. Ain't going to be none of that, game that needs a whole, a patch that's about half the size of the game you're downloading. Like
Cyberpunk.
Yeah, like none of that stuff they want. If it's one thing Nintendo does, they will put out a finished product, every time. And it goes to show you, every year come E3 time or any Nintendo Direct, fans are like, all right, we're going to hear about this game. I've been waiting to hear about this game. Fans have been asking for a Breath of the Wild 2 since the first one came out. And we finally got to see them drop Breath of the Wild 2 at E3 this year. And you look at it, perfect. Yeah, I'm sure when it comes out, no bugs, no nothing to fix, none of that stuff. It's going to be, the usual Nintendo stuff. So I credit Nintendo. They always put out quality stuff. I mean, there's some hard workers over there at that company. But I do wish they did a little more fan service and say, okay, you guys want this, we'll give you this. Toss us a bone every once in a while instead of saying, no, you wait in line like everybody else.
And they know what sells to their fan base, right? Mario, Metroid, Donkey Kong, Super Smash, and Zelda. Those are their big five that no matter when they release them, the fans are going to pick them up. But I do respect Nintendo. They're a company that is for the bottom dollar because, I mean, they're a company, right? That's what every company wants, is make as much money as possible. But they understand that it's their fans that keep them afloat. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you remember years ago when the Wii U came out, it flopped as a console. It was terrible. And the CEO of Nintendo said, you know what? That's on me. Like, he took ownership of that and said, that's on me. Clearly, it didn't hit what you guys want. So I think he forego his salary for a year because of it. Like, Nintendo steps up and recognizes their failures, where you have like Red Project with Cyberpunk, where they're like, okay, yeah, it was bad. Shut up, guys, leave us alone. No, it's bad. But it's like, no, you've been promising Cyberpunk for 10 years, and then you release crap, and you expect us to go, oh, it's okay, you tried. It's like, no. So, I mean, for Nintendo to show Breath of the Wild 2, they announced it shortly after Breath of the Wild 1 came out that they were going to work on a sequel. And then they came out and said publicly, hey, we're pushing it back because we're not happy with it. So we're going to push it back. Sorry, but we want to make sure you get a game that's well-deserved of you, that's worthy of you. And I think that's the difference between Nintendo and these other companies, is Nintendo says, no, we work for you, our fans. We're going to give you what you want. Ignore the Super Mario Brothers movie that came out in the 90s, our bad. But, we're going to delay a game, but unfortunately that's why. We're sorry we're delaying a game, but we don't want you to drop $60 and then have you come back to us and say this game is terrible. And that's my level of respect for them, is that they actually feel like they work for us rather than, hey, we're doing you a favor by releasing Cyberpunk. You should be grateful you got anything after 10 years when you drop $60 and it's nothing. It's terrible.
Well, and I think when you look at size of fans, Nintendo has to do everything it can to keep its fans. And I think that's why they focus so much on making sure whatever they drop it right? Because if you piss off enough people and you only got 100 of them, let's just say, and 50 of them say, forget you, and they leave and they go to Microsoft, and like, at least with Microsoft, I know it's going to be trash and I'm just going to wait for the updates before I get in it anyway, then I think I think you lose your fans. But I think Nintendo understands it doesn't have as big of a fan base as a PlayStation or Xbox, but the fans it has are very loyal to them because they make sure they drop quality products. And the only reason I don't have a Nintendo in my house today is because I want a console. I don't want a handheld Switch. It makes me feel like a Game Boy, and I can't get past it in my mind. But I want a full fledged console that I can play. I would be playing Legend of Zelda right now on the console if it was there. I just don't want to drop money on a Switch because it reminds me of a Game Boy, and I'm paying $300 for a Game Boy, and that just grinds me.
So you do know your Switch plugs into a base that then goes to your TV. So it is a console. It's just a portable console.
Really?
Yeah. Like 99 out of 100 times people are using it as like a Game Boy, right? A portable console. That's really all I played it. I think I've hooked mine up to my TV a handful of times, but it is a console. You get the better graphics when it's hooked up to your TV compared to the built-in screen. Their whole big thing is that it is portable, to where, like, if you remember their ads way back when they first released the Switch, you had someone pick it up out of their console, play it on the subway, go to a friend's house, and drop it into his, and it transferred up to his screen seamlessly. So, I mean, that was the concept of the Switch, was it's a console, but it's portable, and it's adaptable enough that you can literally take it anywhere.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up on the E3 talk right there. And we usually do news first and then the topic, but we did topic first. So we'll jump into the news stories this week. So I'll go ahead because I brought a couple this week. I brought a couple news stories this week. And I want to talk about this one because this one is just, I've seen this a couple times on my timeline and I've been wondering what in the world is going on. So I did a little digging. And that is a TikTok creator by the name of Isabella Avila, and she's also on Twitch as Only JS, there is currently a petition going on to get her banned from all these sites for apparently saying offensive things while you dropping, racial slurs, making fun of disabled people and all types of stuff. And the reason it got my attention is because there is currently a petition that has over 330,000 signatures to get this girl banned from these sites. And you must have done something egregious to get 330,000 people to ban against you to get you banned.
That's just insane. I saw you add this article a little bit earlier, right before we started, so I didn't get a chance to read it. I didn't know who she was. I had no idea until I pulled up the article. Exactly. What did you say to get that many people that want you gone? And I'm kind of surprised that in today's culture, with cancel culture being as big as it is right now, and everything on social media being monitored, like, what made you think you could get away with saying something like that? Or like I said, I don't know what she said, but clearly it's pretty bad. Like, say any racist comment, it's like someone's going to find it, it's going to blow up, and that's it. Your career online is over. And I don't know if maybe she thought she's too big. So it's like, oh, I'm fine. I'm indestructible. No one's going to touch me. It's like, well, happened to Bill Cosby. Look what happened to all these other people that were too big, and now they're hated because of what they did. So I'm surprised. I'll have to I'm curious. So I'll probably dig into it and try to find out what the heck she said.
Yeah, and we know petitions generally don't work when it comes to Twitch and to TikTok, right? They petition, and these companies just ignore it. I am quite surprised that if that's the content that she's dropping, that they're okay with that. But we also know that there's a fine line in TOS in both those companies, that if it's bringing in, let's just say she brings in, 13,000 people to sit here and watch her do something crazy, that's 13,000 people Twitch or TikTok might be worried about losing, right? If we ban this person. So there's always a money concept tied to this. Not saying that it should be or that what she's doing is correct or incorrect. It's simply when it comes to these companies banning these people, it's a fine line, right? Because Nick Merckx could probably say something today that you or me would say we'd get banned, right? But he may turn around and get an email from Twitch saying, "Hey, don't do that again." Not even a proper reprimand where you get slapped on the wrist and suspended. So there is that line. Now, obviously, if they do something completely egregious, that they do get banned. But it's just it's definitely not the same as it is for smaller streamers.
Well, apparently there has been some fallout from this. So far, I've read some of the comments that she made. She did, drop a couple heavy racial slurs in there and all that stuff. And then she kind of talked about disabled people and service dogs, and and just making some very offensive comments, things that would get most people banned. And she has lost some of her endorsement stuff that she had in place already. So that's kind of some of the fallout. Now, whether she gets completely banned, we'll see. But that was the news story. I just wanted to talk about it because I thought it was incredible that you got this many people to come after you. So you must have done something egregious, you know. So
Well, and not only that, right? So is she trying to be a shock jockey type person, right? That just says these things and people are super offended or think it's funny, right? Because there's those personalities out there that do that, right?
well, some people, they do make their bones on Twitch by being that shock jock sort of personality. The problem with that is while you say it under the guise of a joke, Twitch, TikTok, most of these social media sites have a TOS that is very strict, and they don't give a damn about your joke. You will get banned. And so when these people get banned, then they act shocked, and it's like, how can you act shocked? You knew you were going to get banned doing this. So, we'll see what happens. Now that it's on my radar, I'll follow it, over the next couple weeks to see if she actually does get banned. From recording time, she's still up on TikTok and on Twitch right now. So, but
Well-
Mr. Coov, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, so I'll go next since mine's kind of related to that. So not everyone's, I'm not in this pile, but everyone's favorite hot tub Twitch star has been banned from Twitch. I'm talking about Amouranth. Amouranth and IndieFox, some of the two biggest hot tub streamers, are now banned. Reason is because ever since Twitch has moved to the pools, hot tubs, and beaches category, the ad revenue has dropped significantly for these types of streamers because ad companies don't want to be associated with it, and that's fine. That's their choice. That's why this category is created. So, what do these entrepreneurial women do? They move over to the ASMR channel, and over there, which is supposed to be about soft listening and easy sounds that's supposed to put you calm, they started simulating ear licking. It's the thing. So what they will do, however, because clearly they go off of their body, they wear tight clothes and then they simulate ear licking into these microphones. And apparently that was too much for Twitch. They said that's a little too far. You're now kind of conducting a sexual act on Twitch, even though there's no nudity. And they've banned the two for it. I'm torn on it. Like, that's not my thing. I'm not big into ASMR, and I really don't want to listen to someone lick my ear. But I'm kind of torn because I'm like, well, clearly, again, there's a market for it because they're attracting people there. And I get Twitch is kind of all about the advertisers, and advertisers probably don't want to do this. But even since she was banned, Amouranth even tweeted that it's been great for her because her OnlyFans like skyrocketed after that. So now that they don't get it for free on Twitch, they're now paying for Amouranth to release these videos. So it was kind of so she's kind of like, whatever. He's like, fine, ban me. Now my OnlyFans is taking off. Thank you very much. I think, yet again, if you're going to do this, make another channel for it, because there are ASMR content creators who are just doing like the soft voice or like clicking or like making water, noises or something like that. And it's meant to be relaxing. But I think it's a fine line, right? It's a very thin line. So I'm curious what you guys think about this new ear licking trend on Twitch.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. I tweeted this a while back. ASMR people are weirdos. Straight up weirdos. Whether you're doing the ASMR or one of those people that like listening, you are a damn weirdo. What is wrong with you? You want somebody leaning all in your ear, making all types of sounds and stuff like that? You are a weirdo, fam. Go outside and go play or something, or go do something. Get you a workout plan or anything else besides being a weirdo and listening to the ASMR channel. stumbled upon some streamers that were doing that stuff. And so I'm clicking from page to page, and it is people up there. I saw one, a girl just had a bag of chips and was leaning in the microphone and just taking bites of chips and crunching them in her mouth. And people were like in the comments, like, oh, that's the stuff right there. And I'm like, what the hell, man? This is Twitch. What happened to the games? But dude, it's absolute weirdos. And if you are simulating ear licking, come on, bruh. We know what that is, okay? So come on. You, like we said earlier in the pod, if you want to test the TOS, fine then. But when you get banned, don't sit up there and start complaining.
I just find this whole subject weird, but I find this weird that was the item that crossed the line for Twitch, not the hot tub streaming, and people writing their names all over their body. That's okay. We can tolerate that, but boy, don't you go licking into a microphone.
I mean, I don't know if it was just the licking in the microphone, because I think you can still probably go on Twitch and there's people doing that. I think what it was is they were wearing tight, revealing pants. They were in comparable positions. Like, this article was talking about how, like, they would bend over and, like, have their rear showing the camera, but, like, they're sideways, so that then they're looking into the microphone. It was beyond just making the noise. It was really treading that fine line of, like, softcore porn. Is pretty much where it was at.
Yeah, that's how Amaranth was doing it. So if you watch, because I saw her stream when she did it the other night. So she'd basically like have the mic like over here. This would be like her face, and her butt would be like right here, like towards the camera. So she'd be like looking back over her shoulder while like licking into the mic. And people were like, of course the comments are like, they're going crazy. People are getting banned left and right in there. And it's like, yes, this is why you got banned, Amaranth. Like, we appreciate all the contributions to Twitch, but you gotta go, okay?
Well, and like you said, she's been known to lock TOS to like the dotted line right under where you tear TOS.
She's ruined TOS for everybody else.
This isn't her first ban. She's been banned from Twitch before. I think this is like her third or something like that.
Isn't that she's permanent banned now, right? And Indy Fox is just banned for a couple of weeks.
They don't know. I don't know from the article. This article I read said an undisclosed amount of time for both of them.
Amaranth will be back, dude.
I thought Amaranth tweeted that she was permanent banned, that she won't be coming back.
I don't follow her on Twitter, so I have no clue.
She should go jump on YouTube. She'll be all right.
Or stick to her OnlyFans. If she's making money there, man, do it. Go stick to your OnlyFans.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mr. JD, what news story you got for us, sir?
So I already told mine in the middle of this, but mine was about Battlefield 4 having to increase server capacity due to Battlefield 2024 about to come out soon. So that was just mine. Just an FYI, if you're playing Battlefield 4, you're able to get in there with more people now because more people have went back to it. If you were the unfortunate one who did buy it, I do want to apologize to you and tell you that there's still hope down the little horizon there that Battlefield 2024 could be better than Battlefield 4. We are all hoping and praying and crossing our fingers and toes that there is a good alternative to COD to where if people rage quit, there's somewhere to go.
Right. Well, I have another story. And it is about the PlayStation VR. I own a PlayStation VR. I very much appreciate it. The only thing that bothers me about the PlayStation VR is this thing comes with 1 million pieces to set it up to connect it to either your PlayStation 4 or your PS5. It takes a lot of work to get that bad boy hooked up. And now it looks like PlayStation has filed a patent for an extra camera to make things even more immersive. And the last thing I want is more hardware to bring into my house to play a game. I enjoyed the VR aspect of things. I like it when it's immersive, but damn it, man. Now they have a patent for an extra camera that would go up behind you over your shoulder, and it's supposed to like be from behind you, capture the rest of your body, and basically immerse you in the game even more. It's going to project like a green screen so you actually look like you're in the game and doing the motions and stuff. And so it's cool in concept, but man, I don't want more hardware to, add into this collection, because the VR itself takes up a lot of space, where my gaming stuff is set up. So I don't know how I feel about this one.
I have the PlayStation VR 2. I used it maybe twice. It's kind of a regret that I bought it because I have an Oculus and I've used the Oculus a whole lot more than I have the PlayStation VR. And the Oculus is kind of bulky. Like it has a lot of cords coming out of it to where you can buy stuff to put on your ceiling to hang the cord so it doesn't get in the way. I'm with you, D. I don't need another piece of equipment that I now have to screw into my ceiling just to have it there. And like, I guess I don't quite get the benefit. So okay, so it's going to capture for you from behind as well to make you feel like you're in the game. But that's kind of the whole point of VR anyway. If I turn around to my left, I see what's to the left of me in the world. I don't. Is it like for streaming purposes? Maybe I can see the benefit, right? If I'm streaming what I look like in this world, that I can see. But as a gamer, I have a headset covering my eyes. I don't see what the camera behind me is going to really do for me.
Right. It's kind of weird in concept. Like you said, will it put me in a third player, sort of view? Will it still be first player like all the VR games are? Like I don't know, and it's kind of weird that way because is this something that are they just have the patent just in case they want to make something like this, or is this something that's actually in the works and then it's going to be added on? Like I don't know, man. That's so weird to me.
I mean, for like third person, I can see that. I can see why they would have it, but I'm going to put on a headset for VR to make me see through my character's eyes for a third person game. So I'm putting on a VR headset to stare at my own ass, is pretty much what this is going to do.
That is
And
America's ass.
that's America's ass right there. I just don't see the benefit myself of having this camera behind me, unless it's for streaming purposes. Then I get it. Because like you see the people play that Beat Saber on the Oculus, and you see them in the game, but that's for streaming. What they see is the actual game. So, like, that's my opinion. Needless to say, I will not be buying it when it comes out.
I didn't think I'd have to do this today, but here we are. I don't know PlayStation VR.
We need one per episode.
One per episode. I want to make sure I get my quota up. I played with the Oculus before. I had it when the Oculus attached into the Galaxy S7s. And you hooked it up to your Galaxy S7, you put your Oculus on, and it was lit. I loved it. There was so immersive, but I just never got into the PlayStation VR because then I was like, I got to set up all this stuff. I was like, I'd read about it, and I was like, I just don't have the capacity or the room, and then it just became this big hassle. What I want to see is like a pole get put up, and it just puts up a damn perimeter for me of a 10 by 10 square, and I call it a day. That's my imaginary VR world.
All right. Well, I have one last news story, and this is kind of cool to me because I was very excited. I watch all the DC, stuff that comes out. I was a huge fan of the Arrowverse when it was fully formed and they had Arrow and the Flash on TV. And they would do the crossover episodes. And we got one of the hugest surprise crossovers ever on the Flash show. And that was Barry. He was running through the Speed Force, running through different multiverses, and he happened to run into Barry Allen from the DC Extended Universe, played by none other than good old Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller from the Justice League movie, his version of the Flash met Grant Gustin's version of the Flash on the show. And now it looks like while they're filming Ezra Miller's Flash movie, Grant Gustin will be having a cameo in there as his version of Barry Allen. So one, confirms the multiverse for me. Two, it's so awesome to see that payback of the the crossovers and them two get to meet up on one another. So I'm very excited for that one. I just thought I'd share that little bit of news with you guys.
Pulled up your article on this because I like the Flash TV show. I never finished it, and I like the Flash from the extended DC universe. I'm looking at the very first picture on this article. So for our listeners, we'll post it and you can click it and pull it up. You can see the difference of budgets when it comes from movies versus TV shows and their costumes. You got the Flash TV, where it is definitely a cotton weave of some sort. And I mean, this dude's pajamas with the Flash logo on it. And then you have the DC Universe or Extended Universe movie outfit, where it's like different plating and individual pieces. And it's like, you can tell where the money went.
Well, that was one of the cool things on the show when they did the crossover. Those two met each other and they commented on each other's costumes. So like Ezra Miller was like, yours looks very comfy and and loose, and dude was like, man, yours looks all tactical and like you protected in there. And so like it was pretty cool that they kind of nodded at that too in the show.
One's designed for speed, the other one's designed for armor.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm excited for this introduction of the multiverse. I find it funny that DC decided to take one of their biggest storylines with the multiverse, and it happens to coincide with the Marvel starting to introduce their storyline with the multiverse. I know we didn't talk about it because I don't know where JD is at on it, but like Loki, I've been watching that a lot. And you're good. Okay.
Yep,
they have been weaving in the multiverse for sure. And I mean, there is just no question about it. They're talking about branch timelines. I don't know if you guys caught, and I wanted to bring this up. I was going to text it to you guys, but now that we're here, I might as well bring it up. I am with the theory. There's a theory going around online that the TVA is located in the quantum realm, and that we've already seen it. So if you saw the Ant-Man movie, when he goes into the quantum realm to extract Perm's wife, in the background, you see this little bubble of a city. It's very quick, but that bubble in the city, people have grabbed that image and then put it over the image that we saw in the last episode of Loki, and they look identical. So we think Marvel has already been hinting at the TVA all the way back in the first Ant-Man movie. But you talk about time travel and Endgame, they had to use the quantum realm to do that. So it makes sense that the TVA is in the quantum realm. Thoughts?
A good man. I too read this theory, and I too hope that it is confirmed that the TVA is in the quantum realm, because I believe it. I mean, the way they've talked about it so many times, the way, Owen Wilson has said, time moves differently here. They said the same thing about the quantum realm, like the city picture from Ant-Man, and then the way you look at the city now, it looks similar, and then it would make sense that they're able to jump in and out of time at certain points the way that they did in Endgame. So I'm excited about that theory. I think it would this may be, of all the theories I've read on the internet, this might be the most, the most grounded one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think that we're leading up to it. It kind of makes sense. It has to be there, in my opinion, because they're jumping forward and backward in the timeline, right? And they're watching the timeline. And how do you do that if you're in normal time? It wouldn't make any sense. Short of them being near a black hole or something, or a wormhole or something. But then again, that's only going to take you to one point in time. Quantum allows you to go anytime, right? Because time doesn't actually exist in the quantum world. So it's, I definitely think it probably has the most feet as far as the theories go. I'm hoping Marvel does it. It's so interesting to me how Marvel introduces these small little tidbits that will eventually lead up to something. You go
years
at the very
before.
end. I know, it's
Such a
so
long time
bizarre
before.
to me. At the end, you go, "Oh wow, it all links up," and like some evil genius in Marvel has been sitting here going, finally, my plan, right?
It's Kevin Feige at home, man.
Right?
Like, dude is just sitting there, just drinking his his little drink or whatever of whiskey or something. And he's just sitting back, like he's probably reading the internet and all the fan theories, like, username, blah blah blah. He got it right. Like,
I will
take a sip,
or he's going there under that username, going, "Hey, you guys ever seen the connection between these?" And people
Yeah.
are like, "Oh my god, this is great." He's like, "Yeah."
It was probably him. Like, you guys ever notice that city in Ant-Man looks a lot like the TVA? And then send, and then just log off.
Sit back and wait.
Since you're drinking whiskey, yes.
He's the man that sets off a bomb and just watches. Like, stand back and watch.
I am the TVA.
Right.
Yeah. He's like, "I'm in the quantum realm."
3 timekeepers? No, just me.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our news this week. And that's going to bring us to the end of this episode. But we're going to ask you a question this week. E3 was this week. Tell us what got you the most excited this week. What did you see and it just blew you away? What got you out of your chair and cheering in your living room and just very excited to play and see in the future? And what more do you want to see from? So let us know. And you can do so by telling us. You can send us an email at podcastplayedup@gmail.com. You can hit us up at Played Up Podcast on Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, all at Played Up Podcast. You can listen each week on Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. If you do listen, please rate and subscribe to the podcast. It really helps us out and lets us know how we are doing, and we very much enjoy that feedback. Well, this is going to be it for episode 16 of the Played Up Podcast. Join us next week. Episode 17, we're going to be talking about our favorite sports movies of all time. Ooh. So please join in on that one. It should be a good one. I'm D-High. That's the Couve. That's JD Hugh. We'll catch you next time. And as always, don't forget to play it up.